There we go. We'll start over again. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you all for coming. It is our honor to host the forum this night. I am Kim Cameron, President of the League of Women Voters of Cortland County. While we represent Cortland County, there are 39 other leagues around New York State that together make up our state league. The U.S. League is made up of leagues in all 50 states. We are nonpartisan. We do not support any political party or candidate. That said, we do recognize that voting is fundamental to a healthy democracy. We advocate for voting rights and encourage individuals to become actively engaged in their government. That process starts with voting. And we believe that one of the barriers to voting is lack of information. So this year, we utilized the League's award-winning voter guide system and populated the guide with information on all 63 races in Cortland County. You can access this guide by going to vote411.org. Simply put in your address, answer a question or two, and a personalized ballot will appear. Our goal is to provide information to the public so that individuals feel informed and empowered to vote. This forum, and the one we will be holding on Thursday for Preble Town Supervisor, are also designed to inform and empower the public. We will record this forum and it will be available on our YouTube channel. And with that, I introduce our moderator for this evening's forum, Dr. Jason Page, Assistant Professor at SUNY Cortland with over 20 years of experience in education and human services. Take it away, Jason.
Okay, thank you very much, Kim, and good evening, everybody. It is my privilege to be moderating this forum this evening. So hopefully won't hear too much from me. I will introduce the important people. I would like to start. We will start out in just a moment with candidate opening statements. Excuse me. And we are going to be hearing from Mr. Robert Russell, Mr. Mike Stieg, Mr. Timothy Maxson, Mr. Egg Finkbeiner, Mr. Ed Porter, and Ms. Liz Arnold. And as I just said, we will begin with opening statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves and their platforms. The format's going to be opening statements, each of 2 minutes. We're just going in alphabetical order by last name. After the opening statements are completed, we'll continue in round robin fashion with 8 rounds of questions, each with 1 minute to answer. And then we will finish up with closing statements of 2 minutes. Okay, if you don't need all of your time, we will move on to the next candidate as soon as you're finished. Okay, everyone good? All right. Liz, over to you for your opening statement.
Great. Thank you, Jason. And thank you to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this important candidate forum. I'm Liz Arnold, and I am seeking your vote to keep me as a Homer Village Trustee. Back in March, when I met with Kevin Slack and Pat Clune, our mayor, to discuss filling the vacancy, they asked me why I wanted to do this, which is simple. I was raised to believe it's my duty as a community member to pitch in and help get things done to help the folks in my community. I grew up in Twin Oaks Dairy Farm in Truxton. I graduated from Homer High School. My dad served as town justice. My mom served on the school board. My aunt was a county legislator, and just multiple of my family members serve in roles in local churches and community organizations. And I speak with residents all the time when I'm out walking my dog, Riley. And from their input, I plan to focus on 3 initiatives as I continue to serve. 1, preserving Homer's historic charm. 2, investing in our future. And 3, standing up to county mismanagement. One way to preserve the charm and save taxpayers money is to promote the New York State Historic Homeowner Tax Credit Program. Many residents in the historic district could receive up to 20% back in tax credits on their home repairs. I'm also working to develop a plan to preserve our beautiful trees. Second, I was part of the team that secured a $10 million DRI grant to revitalize our downtown. I'd like to see those projects through to completion, building on our downtown success to support businesses and attract visitors and residents. Third, as trustee, I have fought to keep our tax dollars right here in Homer to benefit our community. I'm the only candidate who has attended multiple county finance committee meetings to speak up and oppose the county's attempts to take sales tax revenue that belongs to the Village of Homer. It's an honor to use some of my professional skills to help this community keep flourishing. To learn more about me, please visit lizarnoldny.com, and I look forward to your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Liz. Next up, we have Ed Finkbeiner. Excuse me, Ed. There's two Eds.
A lot of Eds.
Okay, go ahead, Ed. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ed Brinkbeiner. I've been a trustee since 2016. Been reelected 3 times. And so one of the big issues that we're going to have in this next budget cycle, as Liz stated, we're going to be significantly challenged coming up with budget cuts or, how to stretch our funds. And so voting for me, you're getting experience that knows how to do budgets, because we've been doing them and we've kept them very tight in the village. You also have some corporate memory, things like we're currently having a little conflict with the state over DRI funds, where the community has been awarded $1.2 million for our festival grounds. And we're not happy with what the state told us we had to do. So anyhow, you got to have some history there that you know that. I still want to continue keeping the historic village looking great. We are very much challenged to get the electronic signage correct. That is a very hot topic. And so we've had a lot of community input on that. And so therefore, that is a key issue that we're going to have to address. So budgets, Ribbon Park, which is now called the Hodge Riverwalk. We got Contento property going to be given to us. I've always been wanting to put a dog park in, the only one for the county. We get it. So we're working with the IDA to do that. They've said we could have it. So we got to get it. A lot of other things. Trees are expensive. Our downtown trees have all died. We're going to have to replace them. Given budget constraints, it's going to be tough. So anyhow, thank you so much, and we'll answer some more questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Ed. Tim, you're next up.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Tim Maxon. I'm a longtime resident of Cortland County. I grew up in East Homer. I graduated from Homer High School. I'm a retired supervisor from Mondow County Department of Transportation. I worked there for 35 years. I've lived in the Village of Homer for 32 years. I've been a volunteer fireman here at for the village for 35 years. I'm currently the president of the fire department, which I've been in that role for the last 13 years. So I'm very understandable of how the village budget works. I also understand the way the village operation, being involved with working with all the department head meetings twice a month. As a volunteer fireman, I've been involved in many of the activities that happen with the Village of Homer, always there helping out for almost every one of them. And if you ever go to them, you always will see me there. So I understand how the village runs and what's going on with all the stuff that's going on in the village. I feel this time that the village board needs a voice for the residents. I feel that it's not happening within the village. As we speak right now, I'd like to be that voice. I will work hard to keep the taxes down. That's the problems going on with the county and the village. I've been the ZBA chairperson. I'm currently serve on the recreation board, which is a good thing going on in the Village of Homer, which we need to keep working strong with. I'll be able to work hard with everybody in the village and to keep Homer a great place to live and raise your family. Again, thank you for having me here, and I look forward to being the village trustee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. Mike, you're up next.
Hi. First, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this event and putting all the election information on the Vote 411 site. I know that that was a lot of work to do for a small number of volunteers. My name is Mike Opsteig, and I'm actually a relatively recent transplant to Homer, and I've just fallen in love with it. And I'd like to get to be more involved with the village and bring my experience to helping the village navigate some of the perils that we seem to be approaching in terms of the budget. So when I meet people and I tell them that I'm running for village trustee, one of the first things they ask is, "Well, what's up with your last name?" And it's Opsteig. It's Dutch. It literally means up the street or up the alley. So now you know as much Dutch as I do. And the second question folks will ask me is, why are you running for a board of trustees? And I'm running for a trustee to safeguard Homer's beloved historic character, but also to make practical improvements. I'm running to be a champion for safe sidewalks and smarter drainage, and to continue expanding our tree canopy to preserve the shade and the village's beauty. So trees are an important part of Homer's historic character. And as a trustee, I'll bring fresh ideas, and insist on transparent and disciplined budgeting. And also, like a lot of folks here, push back against the county overreach. You've heard what they've done with the sales taxes. So my focus is going to be simple, and that's to protect what makes Homer special, invest wisely in the future, and prioritize essential services so every family can feel safe and supported. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Ed Porter, you're up next.
All right, my name is Ed Porter, and I'm very happy to be here tonight. But I have to say, I'm not really here as a politician, rather as a teacher, a mentor, a coach, and a longtime community member, as well as a current board of trustees member. I'm going to divide my remarks into three parts this evening. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, I'll tell you what I believe in, and finally, I'll finish up with what you can expect from me. So, a little bit about me. For more than 22 years, I've dedicated my life to teaching, mentoring students, leading Cortland High School's English department, and coaching young athletes. Along the way, I picked up a job as an adjunct professor at SUNY Cortland, and I continue to carry with me the lessons I learned as the captain of both the Homer football and lacrosse teams when I was in school. And in fact, one of my fondest memories of my high school days is winning in the Dome in the last 10 seconds in 1985. I've also been privileged to serve on other committees and organizations, both at Cortland Homer Schools and at SUNY Cortland. Now, Homer isn't just where I live, it's who I am. As I mentioned, I graduated from Homer High School, married my wife and high school sweetheart, Gretchen, right here in 1993. And together we raised our two daughters, Emma and Olivia, who both graduated from Homer. Go Homer Trojans. They were 2014 and 2016. And today I'm restoring a home that was built in 1850 in the heart of our village because preserving traditions while building for the future is important to me. I believe in preserving and strengthening our traditions while building for the future. I want to create opportunities for families and youth and build a vibrant, thriving Homer that always puts people first. I want to be clear as well that I have no ambition to be anything other than a village trustee. It's the only political office I care about. Serving the village of Homer will be the extent of my political career. And if I'm not elected, I will continue to help make the village a great place to live, to work, and to visit in whatever way I can. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Robert.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for this forum, so residents, voters can see the candidates. There are plus and minuses about going last. I guess the best thing is that you can hear what everybody else says. You could just say I feel strongly both ways about what the other candidates said. But anyway, who I am is I've been a Homer resident for the last 8 years. previously living in Cortlandville. I went to SUNY Cortland, and that's why I live up here now. After I graduated, I got a teaching position and decided that I wasn't going anywhere. I originally come from Long Island, like to visit there, but I like the small town feel of Homer. I actually grew up in what is the hamlet of Carr Place. It's actually smaller than Homer. You can drive through it and not even know it. Um, the feel of Homer is important to me. I like what happens almost every year on the village green. I like the fact that some of the things that I found important as far as the safety of residents, especially on I live on Cuger Street, and I like the fact that um, some of the sidewalks are being improved. I don't want to see people walking out in the middle of the street when it snows. It's one of the things that I want to see. The safety of the residents because some of the farmers market that happens, the parades that happen, I want to see those things continue and for those things for people to enjoy. I look forward to seeing what happens in November 4th. And either way, I'm going to continue to be a contributing member of the Homer community. Thank you.
Perfect timing. All right. Great. With the opening statements complete, we're going to move on to question one. So beyond what you've already stated in your opening remarks, can you please tell us a little bit more about your backgrounds and your skill sets and what qualifies you for this position? And we are going to be starting with Ed Biner, excuse me.
Okay. I have a mechanical engineering degree from Rochester Institute of Technology, an MBA from the University of Vermont, and I worked in aerospace marketing for 30 years. Came to Homer in 2008 and started the Homer News. In 2009 with my daughter, I was the Cub reporter. Found out that some people wanted to move into the old train station. Didn't like that. I wanted to move back and so I ran for mayor. I lost by 15 votes. Best thing that ever happened. Pat Coon is absolutely amazing handling the people. I would have fired everybody. So you got yourself a good mayor there. But I'm a strong supporter of him and I'm loyal and I know how to work the budgets. And that's what qualifies me because we're going to have big trouble.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. Next up is Tim.
All right, a little bit about me. Like I said, I graduated from Homer High School in 1978. Worked for Cortland County Department in the jail for a little bit. Then went to Onondaga County Corrections. So I know a little bit about the law to help Bob Pittman out. Then I went to the Highway Department, worked there for 35 years. So I know about keeping the roads clean and all kinds of the construction. And when I started doing that for the last 35 years, I've been a high school softball official, rec softball official, and a high school official and done many sports around here. Help out with Andrew for the small fry football program that need me. What qualifies me is, like I said, I work with all the department heads. I understand how the BTPW works. I understand how the police department works. I understand how the fire department works. And I feel that I work with the budget and down the village, and I'm always around the village and doing something, helping out and very strong with everybody in the village. And I just think they need a voice, and I can be the voice to go out there and help them. And if they have any problems, I'm there to help.
Great, thank you. Next up, Mike.
Oh, okay. I've served on the boards of several organizations, including the Society for Technical Communication. I've helped develop budgets. I've served as president of my local chapter of the Society for Technical Communication. I was also very involved in my Masonic Lodge in California. So there, I worked my way up to be the master of the lodge, which is essentially the CEO of a small business. You need to develop budgets, plan events, organize people, and get things done. So I've also been a tech writer for the last 20 years. I'm a team lead. I've developed budgets in corporate America, and that's a little bit about my experience. I hope to bring that to the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Mike. Next up, Ed.
Well, okay. I guess I could focus on some of the leadership roles I've had, including coaching and leading at Cortland High School and that kind of thing. But actually, a lot of people don't know I owned and ran a small business for 10 years. So I got that up and going by myself. And 10 years, I ran that business, including budgeting, hiring, firing, and developing marketing plans and all that kind of stuff, as well as electronic communications and budgets and so forth and so on. But one of the things that working in education has, one of the skill sets that I have that working in education has really helped develop is collaboration. I work on multiple teams every day, and part of collaborative teams and part of a collaborative process for making decisions and valuing all people's opinions. So I think that's one of the particular skills that I actually possess, collaboration.
Okay. Thank you, Ed.
Sure.
Excuse me, Robert.
Okay, well, to start off, I was a teacher for over 40 years, 35 for the state with the Office of Children and Family Services, and a couple of those as principal. And also I was a substitute teacher here in Homer at the junior and senior high school. I volunteer often, especially through SUNY Cortland. I'm also a member of the Cortland Public Education Foundation, serving as its president. And I think that when I was asked to run for this position, I hesitated at first, but realized that I have the time, I have the energy, and I think that I like to listen to what people have to say. I'm a person who likes compromise. I think it works well, and so if elected, I want to work with whoever's on the board.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, and last up is Liz.
Perfect.
Okay. Yep.
Uh-oh.
There we go. I got it.
Okay, good.
Okay. So, in terms of qualifications, so I have degrees in higher education and an MBA. I've spent decades managing projects and budgets in nonprofits and college bureaucracies, which are relatively similar to some of the village government, having multiple departments. I've served on the board of the Homer Center for the Arts, and I'm currently on the board of SUNY Cortland. And I also am the Zonta Cortland president, where we do a lot of different volunteer activities and a variety of different projects around Cortland County. I also just started a new job as a professor up at SU, teaching students how to identify problems, scope projects, develop solutions in partnership specifically with community organizations. And I served on the village's economic development committee for 6 years before being appointed a trustee in March. And so I also have a small business where I do a lot of budgeting, and I'm really excited about being able to partner with a variety of different folks across multiple departments, as well as on the board. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Liz. All right, on to question 2. So question 2 is, what are the 2 most important issues that the village faces today, and how would you address those issues? And we're going to start with Tim.
Most important is the village. Well, I don't know about 2. Probably the biggest one is what's going on with Cortland County, the taxes. And I think that's going to be a big project for everybody to work on, no matter who's on the board, to figure out how it's going to be addressed and what to do. Other issues are just maintaining the safety of the village of Homer. Obviously, you know, some things have happened that don't normally happen in this little quiet town. And I think everybody needs to be aware of what's going on and how we can work with our police agencies and TPWs to keep our streets safe, and like the sidewalks and stuff going on. And we just need to keep everybody abreast of what's going on here for the safety of everybody and keeping the village a nice, safe place.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. And next up is Mike.
Okay, yeah, so as Tim mentioned, the tax situation is probably the most dire thing that we're facing right now. And I've been talking to residents as I've been going door to door. There are a lot of folks who are on fixed incomes, and the prospect of the town and the village potentially raising their property taxes is going to be difficult for them. And to be honest, I don't think it can be avoided in the short term. So what we need to do is we need to look at long-term solutions for diversifying our revenue sources or adding additional housing to have additional households to levy taxes upon, so we don't have to keep raising the tax rate. And I'm running out of time. My other issue is the safety of the sidewalks and drainage around the village.
Thank you, Mike. Next up, Ed Porter.
Well, I'm not going to say anything any different than others have said about the county sales tax issue. It's a dire situation. Being on the board, currently on the board, we've been able to see exactly how dire it might be for the village. So I will echo some of those ideas and some of those points that others have made. And whoever is on the board is going to have to be in a position to make some difficult decisions. And so that's just the reality that we have to deal with. I think the second issue is related to the first, and that is preserving our community traditions and community festivals and all the things that we do, the rec department, on shrinking budgets. The village does great work, and our employees at the village do fantastic work. And we have to be able to maintain that fantastic work while keeping an eye on our finances.
Thank you, Ed. Next up is Robert.
Well, it does seem that the major focus as far as the issue is the taxes, and it's sales taxes is what is driving the funds for the county, the towns, and the villages. One thing is that by promoting Homer even more than we do, might, you know, if that brings more people into the village, that means they're going to utilize the things that they find here, restaurants and the Homer Center for the Arts going there and so forth. So that could help in ways. And it's also one of the things that even before I was asked to run for the board was the roads. Some have been fixed up and it looks really nice, and the sidewalks, because people getting from other parts of the village to downtown, where most of the activities happening, is important. So I'd like to see all that continue to happen.
Great. Thank you, Robert. Liz, you're up next.
Great, thank you. As many have said, budgeting and taxes is a concern that we're trying to navigate. And so I would say, thinking of kind of solutions in two parts. One is on the budgeting side of taking a fine-tooth comb to every single budget line item, which is something that I'm planning to do, using my background as well as working with others on the board, to make sure that we are spending everyone's tax dollars appropriately. And also thinking about implementing solutions some point in the future, such as different types of software programs that help us better know where our gaps are so we can really laser in on ensuring we're spending every tax dollar appropriately. The other part is to not stop investing. Marketing campaigns bring in new visitors that shop in our stores, attend our events, and eat at our restaurants. And finding also new programs that bring in grant dollars from state and federal programs to try to fill gaps where we can. And those are some of my solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. All right.
All
Ed,
right, the budget is absolutely key. Having 10 years of experience in working with all the departments. And so that gives me a pretty good idea where we can kind of challenge the budgets to keep them as low as possible. I got a feeling they're going to have to raise a little bit. The second thing that's huge in the village is the signage. The American Legion, the fire department, the Center for the Arts, they all want these electronic signs. The people kind of did a survey and said they didn't really want any change at all. Well, that may not be completely practical just to keep doing what they've been doing for the last 50 years. So having the right solution to signage is going to be way important. And so the possibility of using some new technology that's coming along will help that issue, I believe.
okay. Thank you, Ed. All right, on to question 3. Question 3 is, how do you balance community growth with maintaining the Village of Homer's historical character? Please address signage, billboards, and heritage tourism in your response. And Mike, you are up first with that mouthful.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and I got a minute. Okay, so I mentioned a moment ago that we may need to increase our housing inventory to spread out the tax burden across more residents. So we need to take a thoughtful approach toward zoning and approving new developments. There are restrictions you can put in place about the character, the nature of the structures, so that we can maintain the heritage. The village also needs to continue to replace the trees that have died or been felled by storms, because the trees provide shade and they also enhance Homer's historic character. So when folks come to this village, they see this charming green with plenty of trees. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Next up is Ed.
All right. Well, one of the things that we have to be wise about thinking about future growth, but I do think we do need to talk with our business owners, wherever they are, and what they think about growth in Homer. What are they looking for in their businesses, and how can the village be helpful and encouraging growth for them? I think we have some good things on the horizons with the DRI project. And of course, the Center for the Arts is always pulling people in from various places to come visit our village. And most people, when they come here, are very impressed and very glad that they came to visit Homer. As far as signage is concerned, I'm not a big fan of electronic signs in the downtown historic district. Not a big fan of billboards up on 81. That's not a village, problem. It's a town problem, but that's just my opinion. And we can do more to get more people in the village of Homer. That would be great for me.
Thank you, Ed.
Yep.
Next up is Robert.
Obviously, it is the signage is a big issue. When you have better technology, is it easier to just sit at a computer and change the sign, or go out there when it's raining to put up different letters? And so that's what people want to discuss. Obviously, the questionnaire that was put out addressed that, and most people don't want to see electronic signs, the LED signs. And so you have to if you're going to represent them, you're going to have to take that into account. Um, like Ed said about billboards, yeah, they're up on the highway. That doesn't really affect us. But as far as heritage tourism, the way to do that is to advertise it. Sometimes I think that it was Yeaman Real Estate that has something, what's going on in the county, and to see things that are happening in the village, all right, in some of those handouts, those flyers, it's going to help bring more people into the village.
Great. Thank you, Robert. Next up is Liz.
Great. So thinking about community growth, we want to make sure that residents are able to stay in the places that they want to live. And to me, this is part of why my guess is why there was the larger billboard discussion, was because the town of Homer and business owners were hoping to bring in new visitors so that we could have new revenue sources. I don't agree with having large billboards. However, in terms of electronic signage, I think there is a value in keeping residents updated on things that are happening. And there is a new technology that could address and not be crazy flashing lights and simply black and white that could help our residents stay updated on what's happening and also help visitors know what are great events that are coming. And in terms of heritage tourism, I know Mr. Sweeney, my junior high school teacher, would love to do more with President Lincoln. And I think it would be great if we can ensure that the research supports heritage tourism as a strong revenue source for the village.
Great. Thank you, Liz. Next up is Ed.
We're going to have a 29-room hotel in Main Street. That's going to help with taxes. D Street's going to have 12 or 15 houses. That's going to help. The RI use of the village will get people to come here if we do it properly and not just turn the basketball court 20 degrees and throw some planters, because I won't get anybody to come here. Liz's idea with Lincoln kind of stuff for heritage is great. Center for the Arts is wonderful to get people to come here, especially with the little white church that the village is going to give to them. That's going to be great. By the way, when you talk about trees, we budget $40,000 and we blow through it every year. And this year, I think it's over 60,000. You take a tree down, that's $4,000. It's significant. Trees are way important, and we're going to have to manage it.
Great. Thank you, Ed. Tim, you're up next.
All right, to balance the community growth, I think agree with Mr. Ed Porter. Getting the community downtown involved in maintaining their characters down Main Street with the businesses. Addressing the sign, that's going to be an issue because you got so many people wanting the signs. And like you said, we're here for the voice of the community. We got to listen to what they say when we get voted on. Billboards, like everybody's said, it's a town issue that they're on the highways, and I don't even know where you would put a billboard in the village of Homer anyways, even on Route 281 up on that side. Heritage tourism, it's the same thing. To get, advertise stuff. And I think what helps out the village of Homer, and we got something for like the Oktoberfest, is by putting it on the Homer website. And I think everybody sees the Homer website, and I think that's a great thing to keep going to advertise for the village of Homer.
Great. Thank you, Tim. All right, on to question 4, and it's another long one. Given the financial difficulties imposed by Cortland County changing the sales tax distribution, how would you approach funding for infrastructure improvements such as roads, sewer, and parking, as well as social programs such as municipal recreation, without overburdening taxpayers? What would your priorities be? And first up for this is Mr. Ed Porter.
Well, I do believe that that we have to sit down and go through the budget line by line and see where we can save money and where we can cut, be careful with our finances. Let's put it that way. That will help with some of our infrastructure improvements. But having said that, I think because of the current situation that we're in a pickle about some of those things. So some tough choices are going to have to be made. But I do think with maybe collaborative oversight that some of those things can be looked at and some money can be saved here and there. And I do think we have to be forward thinking about priorities for the future, and also thinking about where we can apply for grants and help from New York State. And there are various places that can be done. So I guess that would be what I would say about that.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. Robert, you're next.
Well, this is the biggest obstacle facing the village. No one wants to hear anything about raising taxes, whether it's for the village, school, or the town, and so forth. I think what Ed said about looking for grants, it might be that we have to expand that by going not just with the state, maybe federal, spending some money on employing people who are good at writing grants to offset some of the sales tax revenue we're not going to have. And so I think that's the best thing that we're going to be able to do, considering that the county is taking more and giving us less.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Liz, you're up next.
Great, thank you. The gap that the village board needs to cover with a lot of these sales tax redistribution is almost like $750,000. It is a large amount of money. Yet, I definitely do not want to overburden taxpayers as much as possible. No one wants to have taxpayers share that burden. So instead, I want to look at grant funding, which I see as a redistribution of funding from downstate taxpayers that head to the state. We will take as much of that as we can. And also the other idea is thinking about chargebacks to the county for items that the village has covered, when the county in their charter should actually be covering some of these expenses. And so part of what I'm trying to do now is look through the budget to see what are some of those line items, and things like roads. And often roads are one of the things that should be done by the county highway and are being done by our kind of area. And that was one area that I would look at to get to charge that back to the county.
Thank you, Liz. Ed.
Infrastructure improvements such as roads. We get gas tax money back called CHIPS. So you get your streets. We have a 10-year plan to pave all the streets. So every 10 years, you get your road in front of your house paved. Sewer and water is a use tax. We've raised some rates in the past so we can actually have enough money to handle major breaks and things like that. We continue to look for grants to get our pipes changed. They're 70 years old and they're going to have to be replaced. Guess what? It's $100 million. So therefore, you're going to have to get grants to change our pipes because they're rotting away. Municipal recreation, we may have to charge more each kid pays a stipend to play. We want them to. I mean, I love recreation. I think we do a fantastic job. All right.
Thank you, Ed. Tim, you're up.
Okay, like Ed just said, work on the highway. CHIPS is money, federal money given to the municipalities and the counties and all that for the keeping up with the roads. I didn't know anything about the sewer, where you got the money for the sewer. Working on the recreation board, I know Andrew's been really good at finding all kinds of grants and monies that they're trying to get rid of, and he's getting them. In the federal government, I know if you do road and all that stuff, when you get done working on them, you send it in, and then the government pays you back. Here's the biggest thing: you need to have a good grant writer and make sure they're in on a timely manner, so we don't lose our grants that has been done in the past by the grants not being done in a timely manner and getting in to get our funds that we could use and utilize. So we need to keep on that, make sure it's done in a timely manner.
Great. Thank you, Tim. Mike.
I feel like folks have teed this up for me because I actually teach classes on writing proposals and grants. So I've been teaching university students how to locate grants and find that funding. Um, Not to say that someone on the board of trustees necessarily would be writing the grants, but it certainly doesn't hurt. I've heard several folks mention, looking more closely at the budget, and I always think that's a wise thing to do. But I also know that the village runs a very tight ship. There's not a lot of wiggle room in the village's budget. So we can always look for efficiencies, but I think looking for additional funding, like grants, outside funding, is going to help. I would definitely want to keep the recreation programs going because those bring people to the village. They get people into the stores. They get folks visiting the village and spending money here. So I think that recreation is super important. But second, after that, roads and sidewalks.
Thank you. All right, question 5. What initiatives would you support to engage community members of all ages and to provide activities or services for them? Okay. And Robert, you're up first.
Well, I think that, it's been mentioned about the recreation is important. All right. Keeping kids involved with that, making them aware. I actually coached Homer Youth Soccer when both my sons were younger. And the other one was mentioned earlier was the having a billboard, not a billboard, but something that residents can see about what's going on in the village. Not everybody has a computer to see to go to a website. Okay, so they can see, the fact that there's going to be an Oktoberfest on the 25th, or there's going to be a parade and so forth. So keeping village residents informed is going to help them take advantage of the services that rec and so forth provide.
Great. Thank you, Robert. Next up, Liz.
Sure. So thinking about kind of initiatives to support, I like a lot of the cross-generational kind of concepts. So maybe, as there are more senior center lunches, it would be great to consider, is that a time to invite high school kids to come meet and learn from some of the folks who had a lot more history, as well as for them to hear what are some of the really exciting things that students are doing. For example, we have the village is doing the Climate Smart Communities project, and it's mostly some of our senior citizen residents as well as high school students who are leading this charge. And I think it's a really interesting way to help us also have capacity on the village and help residents interact. Also, I'll just mention the word pickleball because apparently that is something that everyone participates in. So it would be fun to kind of do some more of those kind of intergenerational games as well. So,
thank you, Liz. Next up is Ed.
All right, when you talk about engaging the community members, the Homer News was developed exactly for that issue. So that people should write in, get involved, write letters to the editor. That's what it's for. Now, Andrew does a great job with like the lunches and trips up to the park and those kind of things. So we already do a lot of that, and it's going to be a challenge to continue to keep funding all this.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. Tim, you're up next.
All right. Same thing, being on the recreation committee, working with Andrew. He does a lot of stuff, and he's always trying to add programs to get going. We have the community building is open Wednesdays for the seniors every Wednesday. We've also we utilized the room in the firehouse to for yoga classes and other classes, and done both groups, seniors and for anybody, and open to anybody. And like Ed said, the Homer News gets it out there. I have no problem walking up and down Main Street putting posters up. You probably like, I can't remember who mentioned it, that Oktoberfest is coming. I walked up and down Main Street putting posters all over so people would see it. And I have it in my car and I go to anywhere. I put them up to advertise for all over Homer to get people involved. Word of
Thank you,
mouth.
Tim. Thank you, Tim. Okay, Mike.
Yeah, as I mentioned previously, I love the recreational events because they bring folks, not only do they gather folks within the village, but they bring folks from outside of the village to experience the Homer that we all love. There are so many events that happen in Homer. I don't know if you all subscribe to the Cortland Standard, but there's a list of community events. And there's a giant block of community events in Homer. It feels like everything is happening in Homer, and I love it. I think we can still continue to do outreach to advertise these community events a little bit more broadly because not everybody gets the Cortland Standard. But you know, we've got events like Magic on Main, which bring folks here. We've got an awesome history center which can engage groups of all ages. And then there are events at the library that I think we can also help get the spread the word.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Ed.
Sure, thanks. Everybody has said some great things. I do believe that the recreation programs that are being planned and developed and orchestrated by Andrew and the recreation department are great. I go to a lot of them myself. I have a great time. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing some pickleball either. But one of the things that I think would kind of be fun is we have that music series on, I think it's Wednesday evenings in the summer. And I know Andrew does a good job of picking a variety of entertainments, but maybe allow community members to, vote on a band here or there or make a selection. There are great things going on at the American Legion or through the American Legion and other, even at the Center for the Arts. Everybody thinks it's just a performing space, and it is, but they've got an art gallery there. They're doing community events there. You can rent the room there if you need to for a party or some kind of organizational event. So there's a lot of good things going on. I just think we need to communicate all those things that are going on better.
Thank you, Ed.
Yep.
All right. Question 6. The Downtown Revitalization Award addresses projects on Homer Main Street, but omits several projects, for example, the Riverwalk, deemed not shovel-ready. As a trustee, which unfunded projects would you try to implement? And first up is Liz.
So I'll probably try to correct slightly, as the Riverwalk wasn't actually deemed not shovel ready. It was more that particular project, I think, could be funded using a different grant than the downtown revitalization. Because I think it's a great idea to do the Riverwalk, and the idea I think we could use there's a different type of grant for that. So that would be one thing that I would love to implement, because I think that would be great for tourism. It would be great for residents to be able to wander up and down and to go kayaking, etc. Other projects that I would love to figure out more how to work on are related to housing, because I think we have some of these older buildings like the factory that's off of James Street that could be renovated or repurposed or in order to have either housing or other things. And I was really sad that particular project did not move forward.
Thank you, Liz. Ed.
All right, I submitted a grant last year for the Riverwalk, and it's $12 million. They only offer like $1 million. You could never get it done. So we're going to have to get the Boy Scouts to because we own a half a mile from Turkey Park all the way down to the housing authority. So maybe having our Boy Scouts put in a wood chip walking trail. It won't be ADA, but 12 million bucks. We did try for a grant for it. I really want that. I also really want to get a dog park, and I've been wanting that for 10 years. So that's hopefully we can get some money through the IDA to fix the bridge. The bridge washed out. If we had owned the property, FEMA after this big flood probably would have paid us to fix the bridge. But now the bridge has been washed out. It's $750,000. The village doesn't have it. I would definitely love to have a dog park. It's only one that would be in the county. That would draw people, plus the Riverwalk.
Great. Thank you, Ed. Tim.
Well, that's a trick question because I don't believe everybody in the village of Homer knows what DR, the $10 million is going to or going for, or what projects are even voted on to have. Last I knew, they had a group of 16 people that were in a committee that were supposed to meet. And the only thing I saw that got out of that was shirts with their names on them. And then the committee disappeared. And when we asked questions, I don't know who's getting the money, where the money's going, and who doesn't even have a chance to get the money. So being a trustee, I think I'd have to sit down and figure out what projects we're supposed to be doing and to get the projects even started. That I don't know if any of them even started yet. Because when you ask the questions, we haven't got any answers. And that's one of the biggest things when I've been going out talking to people is where's this money going and who's getting the money and how come we haven't heard anything? So that's the big issue in the village of Homer right now.
Thank you, Tim. Mike.
So I know, just based on talking to neighbors and going door to door, that there are some folks who I think don't understand how the money gets allocated. For example, I've heard folks grumbling about how there is money going to a boutique hotel. And the problem is that the village doesn't direct where the money goes. The state does, as far as I understand. And so what the village had proposed was a package of projects, and then the state went and cherry picked the ones that they liked. As far as which projects I would prioritize, I really like Liz's idea about doing something with the factory on James Street. And if we can't do the Riverwalk in one proposal, maybe we can break up the project into smaller projects and get funding for smaller proposals.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Ed.
Sure. Well, I guess I'm glad Mike said something about what impact the trustees have on that type of funding. So the committee came up with the projects and sent them to the state, and the trustees weren't necessarily part of that process, or at least not all of them. And so then the state is right. They pick the projects that they think are shovel ready, or however they want to classify that. But I am interested in some of the housing projects that were not funded. I think are pretty important. One of them, Liz already mentioned on James Street, but there was also a proposal for some housing at the Brewster House and the factory that's right next to the Brewster House. So I would be interested in seeing if that can move forward. And more housing for seniors was planned there. And I think that was a great idea. And maybe there's additional space for additional housing there. But that's what I would be interested in, more housing.
Great. Thank you, Ed.
Yep.
And Robert.
Actually, I heard once before about a dog park and going door to door. Someone had mentioned that it was a thought, but not going to be implemented. And they said that a lot of people like to walk their dogs, and to have a dog park would be good for many of the village residents. So that's one thing. Unfortunately, like Ed mentioned, that the bridge that would go over to it, it's just too expensive, and that's um, I don't know where that money would come from. The other things, going last, you hear all these ideas that, oh, he took my idea. The housing thing would be great, because you're going to put a lot of people to work, all right? And people have more money in their pocket, they're going to spend more money. Also, you're going to have the revenue for taxes on those the new housing. So,
Great. Thank you, Robert.
Yep.
Okay, on to question 7. So how do you ensure keeping our village and public spaces safe? And first up is Ed.
Well, right now we have a great police department, 24/7. We have 12 part-time officers that actually help out and patrol. We've got grants for the sidewalks so you don't trip as much as you used to. We have lighting that we have. We got LED lights. That was a project that I started a long time ago. Passed it on to Tim Daly. That, by the way, that saves us. It went from $95,000 a year for lighting down to like $24,000. So LED lights have really saved the village a ton of money. Comment on the housing. By the way, the state only gives people 35%. So when Yeaman proposed apartments and stuff in the James Street, he determined that he couldn't make a go of it and charge rents with only a 35% share from the state. And by the way, the hotel that McNeil is putting up only gets 35%. So it's not that much money.
Thank you, Ed. Next up is Tim.
Well, like Ed said, we do have a pretty good police force and a good chief. It's around, like you said, 24/7, and you do see him around. And I think we get good help from the state troopers and the sheriff department for travel, maintaining our streets. The lighting is good on most places, but maybe some of the other streets might need some lighting to help keep everybody safe. I know the basketball courts lights stay on for quite a while for the kids to go play basketball, so they can have a safe place to go and keep them off the streets. Just to help work with our police department and make sure everybody knows that we have them around.
Great. Thank you, Tim. Mike.
I'm going to echo what Tim said, and everybody loves the Homer Police Department. Chief Pittman does an awesome job. I love that they do community policing. They're doing outreach. This is everything I would want a police department to be. I guess in terms of safety, I'm going to turn back to sidewalks and continuing to fix the sidewalks and the drainage issues. There are several places where there's basically large puddles across large swaths of the sidewalk in the village near the schools. It's a slip hazard in the winter. Also, hearing from some folks in the homes off of Hooker, they'd really love to have sidewalks in their neighborhood. Their kids can walk to the school bus stop without having to walk in the road, or to connect their neighborhood by sidewalk to the village so that they can enjoy the downtown amenities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Ed.
Well, obviously we have a full-time police department that does an excellent job, and we have a great chief who's a community member. He graduated a year after me from Homer School, so I know him pretty well. But I do think one of the things that helped keep our community safe is a really solid working relationship between the police department and the board of trustees and with the mayor, which we have. And nobody has mentioned the excellent fire protection that we have and the emergency response folks. What I've been continually surprised by as I've been in trustee meetings and we receive the fire and the police reports each month is the number of contacts our emergency personnel and police personnel have with our public on a monthly basis. The numbers are quite surprising if you think about it. We live in a quiet little village, and our police and our fire folks are working very hard to keep us safe, but often doing it without any recognition, I suppose.
Thank you, Ed.
Yep.
And Robert.
One of the things that I think it's been mentioned several times, some of the questions and answers overlap. The sidewalks and the roads. For example, on Cuba Street, there are several houses that do not have sidewalk in front of them, so the kids are walking in the street. On Nixon Avenue, it used to be a sign that cars couldn't go down there during school hours because a lot of kids walk up to the high school. So it's to think about those type of things is important. Another one is I don't know if it's going to be easy for the police to be sitting on some streets that, James Street. I had residents say that since it's been paved, people like to do 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour. It happens on Cuba Street as well. And a lot of kids cross there. It's, I guess, maybe putting up one of those signs to say that your speed limit, to have more police presence. And yes, they do a great job. You see what several people have said, that they do get recognized. You see them in the Homer News, how much they have that public outreach. And so I think that makes people feel good about our police department.
Great. Thank you, Robert. And Liz.
Great. So yeah, I will echo that, we have fantastic departments in our fire and police departments. And as trustees, I try to do everything I can to support these individuals in doing their jobs, community policing, fire departments having an open house on Thursday night. They're very engaged in the community. And I think that's really important to make sure that residents trust that the folks that are protecting them. One thing to think more about from speaking with residents is having a little bit more focus on enforcement related to noise ordinance concerns. I definitely have heard that from a few different folks. So that's something I'm planning to follow up with the police department on that one. The other thing that we talked about at tonight's trustee meeting was about lowering speed limits. So their residents had expressed concerns on 281 that there were too many folks who were speeding, and the police department worked to try to address that. And I think one thing we can do is to do more with doing a petition and to advocate further, because I've heard multiple complaints about speed limit concerns in the area.
Great. Thank you, Liz.
Thanks.
All right, last round of questions, or last question round even. So where do you see the village in 5 years, and how will you help get it there? And first up is Tim.
How do I see the village in 5 years? I think if with good people on the board, you can see a very good place to live. How I'd like to be there is on the board and making sure that things are getting done that are being asked to get done, like maintaining the streets, the sidewalks. I think two big things is, like Ed Porter said, is big thing is got to maintain a good police department to keep a strong and safe here. And you need to get volunteers for the Homer Fire Department, because the numbers there are getting up in age, and we need to get the young people involved in to keep this. So you got a good, strong fire department, a safe fire department, which is normally recognized as like one of the best in New York State. And not patting ourselves on the back, but we get that from all over for people to come see our fire department in our village with the safety of what we have.
Great. Thank you, Tim. Mike.
Just want to say I was remiss for not mentioning the fire department a moment ago. We have an awesome fire department. But to answer the question, the village in 5 years, I have I have a positive outlook for the village for 5 years. I think in the time in between, there might be a rough patch owing to the tax situation. But I believe through smart development and smart growth, we can broaden the tax base a bit so that the burden doesn't fall on just the households that we have in place now. I see us continuing to attract folks from around the state and around the county. We've got an awesome Center for the Arts that pulls people in from Canada, from Pennsylvania, and so I think the trustees, if we have folks who manage the budget well and do things that Homer's going to have a bright future.
Thank you, Mike. Next up is Ed.
Yeah, I also have a very hopeful view of the future of Homer. I think it's going to be in a better place financially because we will be forced to make some decisions that will put us on better financial ground, and that may include several solutions that have already been talked about here tonight. But it's hard to see into the future. But I do know this, that there are good people in Homer. Many of them are right up here right now and trying to help out and do what they can for the community. And I will say that Homer has survived the malaise of the 80s, the 1980s. It survived the Great Depression. It survived other fires and floods and all those kind of things. And the reason it did is because the people here are great. People care about the community. And so I'm banking on the people here in Homer. And so I think the future is very, very bright.
Thank you, Ed. Robert.
Well, I think I'd like to, I mean, it's like summing up what we've been saying for the last hour. All the things we've suggested, all the ideas that we put out there, that if we can get that done, if we work hard to do that, which Homer is going to be a better place. Okay, it's going to take some cutting back maybe some things or coming up with some special ideas that we've heard tonight, and to continue to think positively and progressively. I think that will make Homer even better than it is today.
Thank you, Robert. Liz.
So my vision for the future is just thinking about how we keep honoring our past and investing in our future. So when I imagine the future, I just imagine sitting on the green at a concert. There's kids running around. There's, plenty of individuals sitting in chairs. The music is playing because everybody is engaged and feeling good about what's happening in our village. So I also see more housing options have opened up to help some of our aging residents stay here, but maybe relocate to a smaller option. And that allows new families to move in. I know that was something that one of my neighbors wished that could have been, so he could have stayed here. Maintain our active recreation programs and supporting our schools and our Center for the Arts, supporting our businesses with maybe technology training to help them use that to bring in new visitors, to help bring in new revenue so that we offset and try to decrease any tax increases. And that we've also identified more grants to help backfill some of these budget gaps so we don't need to cause undue financial burden on our residents of all of our backgrounds. So we're all enjoying that future.
Thank you, Liz. And Ed.
I believe the village is going to continue with its heritage look. The Center for the Arts is absolutely key, and it's growing, especially with the Little White Church. The hotel with the spa is going to draw people in, and that's going to help with the center. The festival grounds that we have $1.2 million that Pat and I and the rest of the board, once they get involved in it, are going to kind of figure out what to do there. And that should help people come here. Getting a dog park, draw people from the whole county, and that river trail will allow people to come also to our village and spend money and spend time. And so that's really great. I think Ed Porter mentioned the people are fantastic. One of the reasons I'm here, one of the reasons I've pursued staying with the board for another 2 years. So So I really think the people are the best here.
Great. Thank you, Ed. All right, so that brings to an end our questions. Here's a chance for the candidates to spend 2 minutes giving us their final thoughts and making their closing statements. First up is Mike.
Well, so I would just want to remind you that my three pillars of the platform are preserving Homer's historic charm. I don't think anybody stands a chance of being elected if they aren't going to preserve that. Um, Investing in our future, making sure that our downtown continues to attract new people, new visitors, new residents, even, and then standing up to county mismanagement and pushing back where we can against the kind of a money grab that they did. I'd also like to thank my fellow candidates. I never intended to run for office, and so um, I didn't know how much work or time or money was involved until now. And so I tip my hat to all of you because I know there are at least three of us on this call who probably should be grading midterm projects right now. And who have taken time away from our families on the weekends to go knock on doors and talk to our neighbors. The fact that we have, this contested election in the village of Homer, when the county of Cortland has what 62 races and only 50 of them are contested. This shows me that the people of Homer love this village, particularly the candidates who are on this call, and that democracy is alive and well. And so I'm very hopeful for the village, for the future of the village of Homer, because we have dedicated people like all of us on this call and like our family and neighbors throughout the village. And so I'm Mike Obstieg, and I approve this message.
Thank you, Mike. Ed.
All right, as we wrap up tonight, I just want to say how grateful I am for the chance to talk about our village and what an honor it has been to be serving on the current village board. I think what makes Homer so special, in my mind anyway, is the pride the community members all show in our traditions. The events, the people, the values that have carried us through the years. I really believe we need to hold on to those things that define us while looking ahead to what the future can bring to our families, our businesses, and our neighborhoods. Of course, I know that progress doesn't come from one person alone. It comes from all of us working together, and Homer residents have done that for years. I'm ready to put in the hard work, to roll up my sleeves, and to keep an open mind. Most importantly, I'm a person who listens. I've been on collaborative teams for many, many years. I want to hear your ideas, your concerns, and your hopes, because the best decisions are made when everybody's voice is part of the conversation. If you happen to choose me as the village trustee, I promise that I'll give this role my full effort and respect. And already I have learned great deal by being on the board for the short time that I've already been on the board. And it's been a great honor working with the folks that are there right now. And I just want to reiterate something that I said in my last comments, answering the last question. I have a very hopeful view for Homer. I am banking on the people of Homer. When I was a young man here in the village, these folks embraced me, helped me out, and were kind to me in all the endeavors that I undertook as a football player, lacrosse player, and a member of a high school here. And then they've been just as warm and embracing as I moved into the village in the early 2000s. So I want to thank the village of Homer for all it's done for me, and I'd like to give back in appreciation. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ed. Robert, you're up next.
In sitting here tonight, listening to everybody, I have no doubt that things will get better for Homer. Okay, anytime there was something that seemed like a challenge, everyone has come up with something that we can work towards to solve that problem, to make things better. In walking around and talking to some people, hearing them say, I really like it here. I like living in the village. One woman said that her children wanted her to move, and she said, no, I'm not moving. I'm staying here. I like it here. And it's really great to hear that. It's one of the reasons why I like living here as well. I just like the closeness that you see. I like the involvement. Someone mentioned about the summer concert series on the green. To go there and see hundreds of people um, sitting there and enjoying the nice weather, listening to the music, it was just amazing, you know. And I don't remember that growing up where I was. Um, and it's something that I hope continues. Um, Whether I get elected to the board or not, I feel I'm going to want to continue to go to meetings twice a month to see what's going on. And if I'm given the opportunity to talk, I'll say, all right, what can I do to help? All right. I like to volunteer. I think many hands make light work. And if it if it makes things better for us in this community, that's what I'm going to do. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you, Robert. Next up is Tim.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for allowing me to be here tonight. I'm sorry about the late notice, Kim. I was out of town and didn't know if I'd be making it back. I'm elected a trustee. I would work hard for everybody in this village. I've been taking care of and keeping this village safe for over 35 years as a volunteer fireman, and I'll just gladly do that to the day I probably die. I'd like to be on that board as a voice for the village residents, listen to what they have to say, work hard for them to keep this village a nice, safe, and a happy place to live. I moved here 32 years with a 2-year-old, a brand new son, because I thought Homer High School would be the great place for him to go. Like Mr. Ed Porter, he played lacrosse and football and did very well there as well as I did. And I think this is a great town and we need to maintain it and keep it going strong and work very, very hard to keep it the way it is. And I think being retired, I'll have plenty of time to do that. I can be out there helping on the streets, helping with the seniors. Still work hard with Andrew with the rec program. I think we got a great rec program going here. Keep it going. Next senior programs going on. We got a senior luncheon coming up that he's put together since he's been here. It's a great place to go, and I'd like to be here to help. And I think I can do good things on that board if I'm given the chance. And good luck to everybody here. I think we got to, like Mike said earlier, we're here for a reason, and we're doing this because we care. Good luck to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Ed, you're next.
Hey, thank you, everybody, and what a great crew. One of the things that I've always done is I try to listen to the people and am very responsive when they ask questions about things. I get back with them, and that's always been something I've prided myself. Now, experience counts given what we have to go through. Ed, Liz, and Elizabeth McGrath are fairly new. There's a lot of history here that's happened over the last 10 years that having some experience so you don't repeat the same errors that Patrick and I did when we first got there. We kind of got overwhelmed by some people, but we've learned. And so that experience is very important while the next group behind us here are going to take over. Now, we're doing a comprehensive plan that's coming up, and that's going to be the filter that all development and growth in the village is going to be measured. If you're going to build a new business or whatever, it has to be in the comprehensive plan and be kind of filtered by that. So that's an important document that's going on. We do hire Toma on a quarterly basis. We send them money, and they do help write grants for us. By the way, they were the ones that wrote the grant for the DRI that Elizabeth and or Liz and I helped work. I wrote the first grant for that, by the way. So I've been grants are important. We need to get people to come to the village and keep our historic preservation the way it is. Please vote for me. I want to put in 2 more years, and then anybody else can have the job. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Liz.
Great, thank you. So thank you again to all of those who are watching this live stream and who submitted questions. I really appreciate your participation in deciding who our local representatives are, should be, and keeping us accountable to all of you. Thanks also to the League of Women Voters for continuing to organize these nonpartisan events on behalf of our community. I've really enjoyed this conversation and learned so many new ideas from all of the folks who've participated tonight. My focus, as I've mentioned before, is kind of honoring our past while also investing in our future. We are so lucky to live in this really engaged village of Homer. I have enjoyed speaking with neighbors and learning about them as individuals, but also about their needs and their hopes for the future. And then thinking about how I can help make some of those things happen in partnership with others on the board. As a volunteer, I was part of the team that pitched to the state to help secure that $10 million DRI grant to help revitalize our downtown. I also sat on the committee to get feedback from residents to help figure out what projects we should ask the state to fund. And I wanted to highlight that all of the details about the DRI projects selected are on the village website. But I also take this as an action item to help more residents know about the status of the projects. I don't think that's as clear, and so I can see why there's confusion, and I want to help try to fix that. I'd also like to see those projects through to completion in the way that the residents want and help build on our downtown success to support businesses and attract visitors and residents. We have this great thing going here in the Village of Homer with our recreation programs, our Center for the Arts, our amazing restaurants, businesses. We have amazing departments in police, fire, and DPW. And so I'm so hopeful for the future. We have challenges coming up, but together we can solve them. We've done it before. We'll do it again. And thank you for the opportunity to serve this amazing community. And I humbly ask for your vote to keep me as Homer Village Trustee.
Wonderful. Thank you, Liz. And so this kind of brings us to the end of our presentation this evening. I would like to thank all of the candidates for spending their time, just giving their thoughts during this, rather long forum. It's been an hour and a half of work. So thank you to everyone for your contributions. Thank everyone for attending. If you would like to learn more about both this race and other local races, you can go to vote411.org and you can just put your address in, as Kim said during her introduction, and it will bring up all of the races that coincide with your address. So you can just scroll through and see all of the candidates. As for this forum, if you know of other people who might be interested in this race, this forum has been recorded and will be shared on the Cortland League of Women Voters YouTube channel at some point in the next day or so. So thank everyone for your attention and have a very good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.